I'm telling you, I want to scream. I want to scream. I don't know what's going on here, but all of a sudden, everything just kind of flickered and it's gone, and it makes
Yeah,
me
wow.
angry. So whatever. Gosh.
I'll finish answering that question.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
so he had, like I said, all of these bottles, unlabeled bottles, in big, pallet boxes, like 100 at a shot. And he had stacks of them. And I'm like, what is this shit? How do you know what it is? It's got no labels on it. He goes, it's all test. I go, what? He goes, it's an anthate, 25 milligrams. I go, why would you make 25 milligram enanthate? And he said, well, because I sell it, depends on what I'm selling. If I need Deca, then I can just put a Deca label on it. If I need Primo, I put a Primo label on it. If I need, Tren, I put a Tren label on it. This guy literally admitted to me what he was doing and how he ripped people off. And nobody complains because they're getting some effect because, and a lot of, in Mexico is a completely different, culture as far as physical culture goes,
Yeah.
because all the women who have trainers are using gear, all of them. It's they hire a trainer, they get a workout, a diet, and a cycle. Those three things.
Yeah.
And they're soccer moms are taking fucking Anavar,
Perfect.
Primo,
You got
you
to,
know.
right? I mean, if you're going to be a soccer mom, you got to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to drive that minivan,
Yeah.
and there's the unscrupulousness in this industry is absolutely phenomenal. I
Yeah.
can never seen more people willing to rip off other people in their community than I have in this community. It's
Wow.
unreal. I have never even close to coming to know something as absurd as this community. Everybody's out to rip everybody off. Everybody. It's unbelievable. So
Do you think that's because people don't put enough research in, that they don't actually take the time to understand what it is they should be buying or getting, opposed to what they're just too trusting?
well, when I get questions that talk about Deca being useless for growth when Primo is better, then yeah, there's a tremendous amount of ignorance being spread online by people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So the problem is it comes out of the device. So if it comes out of the phone, if it comes out of the computer, if it comes out of the TV, it's the truth, but it's not. It's absolutely not. And then you've got conflicting information. People throw up their arms. I don't know what the fuck to do. My drug dealer said this. My coach said that. It's just one big cauldron of bullshit. And you have to like weed through it and try to find the truth. And it's very difficult because so many people are so willing to rip you off.
See, it's like between the trainer and the drug dealer, I'd be like, what does the gardener have to say? I want to know what he says, because that will be the deciding factor. Nick Scott has a question. He said, how much does testosterone cost in Mexico?
Depend, real test, a 10 cc bottle of test costs about 35, $40 maybe.
Okay, that's not bad.
50,
I mean,
50 at the most.
okay, Joe is, I think, an MD enthusiast. I think Joe loves muscular development. I think he's a big fan of yours. And okay, let's do it. Does John have an opinion on what year he thought MD was best? My vote is 04. No, it's fine. Look, Joe, it's fine. There's times where you ask some stuff that's, about RX muscle or a little too inside baseball that I don't think, might work. So I just kind of skip it. But
Right.
what is it, John? What's your favorite year? Probably the years you were paid, I think, would probably be the years that it was best.
I will say I was very well paid at MD, very well paid. So I never had a complaint about that. But the best year, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think I don't remember the actual years, but it was around that early 2000s when I was living in Puerto Vallarta, and I had a great run there with some stories I was telling. Rico McTaco was born in that era. I really think that was once we climbed out of the resurrection phase and we didn't have to put so many half naked swimsuit models in the magazine to sell it, once we got past that point, and I guess it was 2002, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, you know, I think that was the best time for MD.
All right. All right. There you go. So there's the answer to that one. Um, yeah, I think you know what we're going to do at some point. We're going to start to break some of these out, and we're going to do deep dives. John and I talked about this yesterday, actually.
Mhm.
So I think right there, the primo versus deca, or even just taking this question and allowing me to kind of do some more research too, because it's interesting to me to research it, but also the more questions I throw at John, the more in depth we get, because this is stuff that you've probably talked about so many times that you know when you do something so much, you kind of just start to just fly right through it. And it's to me, I'm trying to keep up and I'm taking these notes. But
Well, see, well, the thing is, you got to remember when I first started dabbling in this in the early 80s, there was virtually no information. There was no
right,
internet. There was no information. You know, my mentor, Dan Duchesne, the original steroid guru, he and I went to the UCLA Medical Library. We made fake IDs to get into the UCLA and storm the library and read medical journals. That was the only place that had any information on this stuff at all. So, as the years went on, through trial and error, through study, through practice, we learned stuff.
right,
Other guys learned stuff. We shared that information, and gradually we grew to the point where we knew more than the doctors. We passed that point, and now the bro scientists took over, and now there's so much bullshit out there that it's almost impossible to weed through it. So the idea that, look, I don't have any magic in my box. All I know is the original stuff we studied and discovered back in the day and utilized for 30, 35 years post discovery is the stuff that works. That's what works. There's other stuff, and new stuff has come and gone. There's always new stuff. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Always defer to the stuff that you know works. And if you do that, and you can listen to research, maybe ponder the use of something else like a peptide or a prohormone or a SARM or a SERM, and you can do some trial and error on that. But the bottom line is the original old school shit worked then and it works now. So if you want something that works, go simple. It's the easiest way to do it.
yeah, that's it, right? Simple, like keeping it just not. You don't have to make everything complex. I think the same thing with exercise. People start to
Yeah.
get they see so much and online and on social media of all the things they could be doing that they think they should do it all at once. You gotta, why not just take it slow rather than just jump right in?
Yeah, and the realization of what the limits are.
Mhm.
So there's so many. I had this one client, he was so drug dependent. He wanted to change his cycle every week. He'd tell me about all the new drugs he's got. And I go, dude, follow the program for a little while,
Right.
But he's had it's all drugs. And
Mm.
if you realize the fact that it's not all drugs, then you can start making improvements. But the amount of drugs that people think is necessary in this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, you've talked about that too, where people tend to go overboard. I think they think because they also think that more is better, and a lot of times
Right.
it's not the case at all. So,
Well, the bottom line is, if you don't grow on test and deca, you're not going to. You're not. So no matter what other mixture you can concoct, if you don't grow on test and deca or test and trend or test and whatever, you're not gonna. You're just
yeah,
not going to. So find a new sport, find a new hobby, but don't do more drugs because they're not going to help you.
yeah, and for me, some of this stuff, and again, my goal isn't to be on stage, but if I were somebody that was looking to take any of these substances, I would have to think about how it's going to impact me on a personality. I don't want. I have to be around my wife. I have to be around my kids. So there's things that I would probably be more averse to because of that. But if you don't, I guess if the goal is just to just to go for it. I don't know. I guess yeah. I don't know.
Well, I think you got to determine like where you're at. I mean, you do adventure sports. We do bodybuilding. They're very different. So, like you said before, what's the goal? I mean, you got
Yeah.
to determine what the goal is to determine what you know pursuit you should go after in terms of pharmacology. So, you know, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? If you're trying
Yeah.
to grow versus get faster, more agile, whatever, they're different processes that you employ to do that, that also consider training, rest, and diet. So
Mhm.
you can't just pigeonhole, a drug and say this is going to make me big. It'll help make you big, but it's not
Right.
going to make you big. You got to
Yeah.
add other effort to the process. And there's some guys, I've run into them over the years, that think it's all drugs. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. They think if they just sit there and geese all this oil, they're going to get huge like Ronnie Coleman. And it's just not the case. And those are the guys that you see walking around with the acne on top of acne on top of acne on their shoulders and their back, and they have oily skin. They look bloated. They look the color of raw liver, and they weigh 135 pounds.
Oh,
So,
such a good look. I
yeah.
just very attractive look. But it's funny, right? Because even in the '90s, you still had videos of Ronnie Coleman lifting a bunch of weights. Like, so it's not as though the guy was just like, okay, like he's not going to like his Darth Vader chamber and taking all
Right.
these drugs and emerging with all this muscle.
But
Yeah,
it's astounding, even to this day, that many people think that it
right.
is all drugs. It's unbelievable to me because I get it from the ground. I get it from the street. People come up to me at the gym. I'm known in my gym. I will give anybody any amount of advice they ever ask for and never charge them. You're in my gym. So I train with you. I'm in here every day. You got a question, ask me. I never charge anybody in my gym for anything. So ask away. There's no reason not to know. But you know the idea that's out there that the amount of drugs determines your size and your capacity and your capability is absolutely insane. It's stupid and it's not true.
I just don't get why these, keep getting perpetuated, even
The
though,
easy button. They're
yeah,
looking for the easy button. Everybody wants the easy button. How can I just take a shot and I don't have to train legs? That'd be great,
yeah.
but no, it's not the story.
I think I just saw recently. I don't know. They added some stuff to it, but I'm going through all this stuff looking for things that might be cool for the muscle and fitness audience for the holiday gift guide and for New Year's and stuff like that. And I still feel like the belts are out there, like those. I think I saw one the other day, and I'm like, wow, like holy shit, like we're still here, like God dang. But yeah, there was one. Actually, it turned out I ran into this dude at Death Race. He had this product. Let me see if I can pull it up. And I've been digging through a lot of my old footage and stuff and found it. And it's a pretty cool device. I don't know, it's expensive, but I'm trying to see. He's in Jersey. I'm trying to see if I can actually go get a look at it because or go pick one up and try it. I'm gonna pull it over right now. Give me a second. And come on, dude, I'm telling you, everything right now in my life is like just effed up, dude. Oh, here it is. All right, it's here we go. Can I pull it over or what? Oh god, here we go. Okay, there it is. So it's this bar. It's called the Finisher. I don't know. This dude was just at Death Race basically with uh, when we were at registration, Joe DeSena, who runs it, was like, "Hey, who wants to come? Who wants to be a volunteer?" First of all, when they volunteer anything, bro, I'm out. Like, I'm not volunteering nothing because that is where you get your ass kicked, and that's exactly what happened, by the way. So people had to do that, and this is pre race, and they were doing a lot of different exercises from I put a video up on Muscle and Fitness YouTube. If I, or I'm sorry, on their Instagram, and it shows how to use it. But people were beaten, and that's even before they signed the paper to sign up. So it's like they're like doing they're doing crawls and they're doing jumps and they're doing like and there was people there that were, like totally fine with it. Big built people, and you see them, they're just destroyed, dude. Just
Wow.
dying. Um, I don't even know what this guy. Okay, good morning. I don't know who you are, bud, but geez, I don't even know how to say the name, but I think you're awesome. And then Pecker Patterson says there's too many white people on YouTube. Okay, thank you. Uh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that oh
Okay,
man,
sure.
there's too for that matter, then there's too many white people on Earth
How there's too many
because the
people
Earth
in,
is
in yeah,
predominantly white.
too many people in the planet. Period. I mean, I think the
Yeah.
planet would wants to get rid of half of us. I bet it's going to be a
I
Thanos thing.
I got a list of people we get rid of.
He's not condoning violence, everybody. So
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
relax. But yeah. So, but anyway, that the whole point was, I'm always on the lookout for that kind of stuff, and I would totally try it because, look, is it something I need? No, but I'm always trying to find ways to make exercise more interesting or more fun or add some sort of element. And sometimes that does take an investment. Like if I'm buying, some new plates, I might have to pony up for it, or a bar that I want. You know, I just read too, Chris Duffin left Kabuki Strength, and I really, really appreciated that. If you've never seen those, they're pretty awesome stuff, man. And because he makes them, or he did. I mean, he was, the engineer that created it. So yeah, that kind of stuff really, like, I don't know. I get excited about that stuff. I get excited about new
I
toys.
love new workout shit. I
Me too,
love it,
man.
man. Yeah, we
Me
just got a
too.
new piece of equipment at the gym I train at, a lat pullover machine. I'm like, I can't wait. Today's back day. I can't wait to go.
And you
You
know what's
know?
funny? I'd say like when I was going to the gym, maybe 15 years ago or whatever, I would see one of those and skip it. But now that I haven't used it in so long, it's like when you say that, I'm like, oh, I would totally like one, especially
Yeah.
one that's smooth and well built. And I don't
Mhm.
know that it's just I've worked on so many janky, crappy things that when the quality is there now, I'm like all over it. It's just
Yeah.
it's a good experience. That's why I like going to Bev's, man. Bev, they take care of everything, and he's always getting new stuff in there.
Yep.
And also when I'm there with Frank, Frank's like the celebrity in there, so it's perfect because I'm just walking around with him, and people aren't going to bother me at all. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody else? Come on, toss some stuff out.
There's no questions in that list. This list is huge.
I know I'm always trying to respond. Hopefully, it gets us in some algorithm. Jordan Joseph talked about how he went to uh, see the Ben Weeder Natural to get the IFBB Pro card. I was backstage, and 95% of people aren't natural. Um, I know there's genetic outliers, but blah, blah, blah. But okay, I know what John's going to say. Define natural. I agree. We just actually were going through some of our old footage yesterday, John and and I think that one really stands out. There was a few months ago when you said something about it, and people jumped all over you. You like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But
Mhm.
I think if you hear the argument, it makes sense. How do you define it? Is it? There's no real way to define it. And then, okay, so say if somebody doesn't know all the rules and they're accidentally taking something that's good for their health or something, are they cheaters? Or you know what I mean? There's just so much. Why not just let it, like you said, let it all be out there. Like
Yep.
let it go. That'll make it
Well,
easier.
the natural thing is such a boondoggle because it the reason it happens is that the premise emanates from the point that humans are different than animals.
Right.
And that's just not true. We are more advanced than animals, but we are
Right.
nevertheless still animals. And if you put an animal in its natural state, go out now, look at the squirrels, the rabbits, the deer, the raccoon, whatever you got running around. All right. They all pretty much look the same,
Hmm.
right? You don't have you don't have a squirrel that's giant, ripped, veins sticking out, and then an obese one. We don't have that. Okay. So the reason we don't is because the animals are natural. What
Right.
do? They live in their environment. They eat what we're the same thing every day. They go, the squirrel looks for nuts. I mean, that's all he eats. He's not looking for filet mignon. And so, that's what they do. That's natural. So if you put a human in a natural environment, he's in the jungle. What's he
Right.
doing? He's trying to protect himself, protect his family, find food, and find shelter.
Mhm.
That's what the animal is doing. So if you are an animal in that environment and you are practicing those processes, food, shelter, water, the basics, you will find that, and they found this in tribes all over, the wilderness, Borneo, Africa, whatever, they all look the same. None are fat, none are overly muscled, none are weird. They all look the same. Why? Because they're natural. They're
Mhm.
in their natural state. As soon as you get civilized, you are no longer natural. So anything that you do, in my opinion, anything that you do that is outside of the jungle atmosphere, you are no longer natural.
Right.
So going to the gym is not natural. Eating 20 chicken breasts a day is not natural. Taking creatine is not natural. Taking vitamins is not natural. Growth hormone, SERMs, SARMs, peptides, none of it is natural. None of it. So if you're going to sit on a soapbox and say, well, I don't do steroids, I'm a natural bodybuilder, bullshit. Let me see your loincloth and let me see you climb a tree. Then I'll tell you if you're natural.
So that's that's the test. If you can climb that tree real fast, then you know what? Then you got a
You're
shot at being.
natural. Yep. You can climb a
I-
tree without a rope. Chances are you're natural.
you got to escape the bear and maybe those
Right.
overly developed squirrels.
Exactly. So there's my natural argument. Take the human out of the jungle, no longer natural.
All right. Listen, it's 11:15. I have an 11:30
All right.
call. This has been a stream plagued with tech issues. I got to
Frustrating.
Yeah, I'm going to iron it out. I will have it ready for Thursday. I
All right.
promise. Apologies to everybody. And thanks for those who did stick with it. And yeah, we'll be back. All right.
Yep.
See
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.